todos. Hello, everyone. This is Paola Guthrie from Creating Purpose with Pao, and I welcome you to the Spanglish World Network and Heart Network on Zingo TV channels 250 and 251. Please remember to download Zingo TV app on the respective app stores. While you download it, please make sure that you rate it. The app is totally free. Zingo TV is available in Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV Stick, Roku Stick, and all smart TVs from 2016 and forward. Hello, hello. Thank you all for being here with us because today we have a beautiful guest. Her name is Christina Aigner. She is the founder of, is it Xtina in your corner?
Yes, it is. Xtina in your corner.
Yay! She is an ultimate performer and confidence coach. She's a speaker. She's a neuroencoding dual elite specialist, as well as a brain health coach. She has a deep understanding about the bicultural complexities. She empowers high achievers and aspiring leaders to overcome challenges. She has she has dominated, right? The industry of, which I think is fascinating, international logistics, which, I think she's going to talk a little bit about that as well. And she is from Austria. So I welcome you, Christina. Thank you for being here, making time for us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, please share to us a little bit of your background.
Sure. As you said, I was born in Europe, better yet in Austria, not to confuse with Australia. I'm just saying this because very often when people hear Austria, they say, oh, Australia. I'm like, no, we don't have kangaroos. It's Austria. So I went to business school in Austria. I came to the US all by myself when I was almost 25 years ago. And this was a decision I made during my law studies. I interrupted my law studies that I wanted to experience something new, and I really wanted or needed change in my life. So I decided to come to the US, better yet to Los Angeles. It wasn't as easy as it sounds. I came here, I arrived, I stayed for a month or so with an 82-year-old super nice lady. And then I looked for a place to stay, to live, an apartment without credit history. So, which is actually pretty difficult to find an apartment. And finally, I found an apartment, and then I was like, okay, so now I need furniture. So my first thing is, oh, they have IKEA here. Let me go get furniture from IKEA. I ordered a bed, cabinet, shelves. But what I didn't think about was that I have to assemble everything. So the delivery came and it was super hot. No AC in my apartment. And I had to assemble everything by myself, alone. I didn't know anyone when I came here. So it took me about 8 hours to put my bed together. You can imagine what mess it was, but you know what? Good job.
Yay.
So then I also had to enroll into an advanced English class to polish up my English so I could enroll into UCLA because that's what I wanted to do. And I enrolled into a postgraduate program in marketing. And after graduating from UCLA, my career in international logistics started. And this was international logistics for high valuables, designer jewelry. We did import-export operations for the Oscars, Golden Globe, etc. And this is logistics. You have to think it's a very male-dominated industry. So I worked myself up the ladder to a senior leadership role. I worked really, really hard. And I worked with so many different cultures worldwide and learned so much about different cultures, because different cultures are so very intriguing to me. After many years of working in international logistics, I really wanted to change my career. And today I'm helping high achievers, as you said, and leaders and aspiring leaders as an ultimate performance and confidence coach. I'm a dual elite neuroencoding specialist, coached and mentored by the world-renowned Dr. Joseph McClinton. And I use special tools and technique to help people overcome with procrastination, hesitation, fear, failure, self-doubt, fear of rejection, imposter syndrome, to help with stress and overwhelm. So I help them default to their best feelings, thoughts, behavior, and action, because all of these things which I just mentioned, they trap us, they trap you, and they are the thieves of our dreams.
Yeah.
And I work a lot and very often with bicultural individuals and groups, and help them tackle and kill those thieves of their dreams and help them go further faster.
Yes. I mean, because think of, I can relate to you. You know, you were 25 when you arrived here, and I'm pretty sure you had all those thieves of the dreams where you thought, it was like, oh my goodness, how can I begin a life here? Where do I start? Like you said, you didn't have no credit to rent an apartment. You were by yourself. You have to build your own furniture. you know, like you said, you had the self-confidence of self-doubt, thinking, okay, my English is not good enough. I have to go and take a class to to polish my English. And all those thieves of our dreams is like, as I include myself, being I'm in a bicultural life, is like they're here every day, and we have to learn to manage them. But let's define in your own terms, what is bicultural to you, so that our beautiful audience could begin to understand what we're talking about today.
So there are ways of being bicultural per se. For instance, you have parents from different countries, or your parents were born in one country and they were raised in another country. Or if you live in a culture different from the culture you were born and raised in. That would be me, for instance. I was born and raised in Austria, and I came to the US. And you can also be bicultural through deep exposure to other cultures, which is often through a relationship or a friendship, or you're marrying into a different culture. And so you are considered as being bicultural as well. And sometimes that can be your triple cultural, right? Because if you were born in a different in a country, then you come to the US, and then you marry someone from a different country. That would be triple cultural.
Yeah. Oh, that's me. Oh, have you faced any challenges or difficulties navigating your bicultural identity?
Oh,
And
hell,
how have you overcome that? Oh,
hell yes. So when I came to the US, I was actually free spirit, didn't think of anything, fearless. My mom was always worried because I was super fearless about anything. And I didn't think of discrimination or of being a foreigner at all. And people very often mention, oh, and still they do, oh, I love your accent, and this is so cute. Even though when someone says this is so cute, never makes me feel too good. And I remember I took some Shakespearean acting classes at UCLA because I did some acting in Austria as a hobby, and I just wanted to do some acting here too as a hobby. And I was always super aware of my accent. And I asked my Shakespearean acting instructor or teacher if I should actually take accent reduction classes. And he said, absolutely not, Christina. This is who you are, and your accent makes you who you are. And then I said, okay, so I'm like, that's fine. Sounds great. So one day, I got my first job, and I asked my boss for a raise because I was truly underpaid. And my boss told me literally, she said, you foreigners always want something. And these stinging words hit me so hard, and clearly I blamed it on my accent. So I was kind of traumatized. And so, yes, you're facing challenges by being bicultural. And very often, some things hold you back to fully thrive. For instance, with me, I had in my head the story, it's my accent, right?
Mm-hmm.
And or you might struggle with your identity or belonging. You might ask yourself, who am I? Where do I belong? You feel like you don't belong here, but you also feel like you don't belong to the country of origin. You know what I mean?
Oh,
it's
yes.
like you don't fit in here and you don't fit in there. And you want to fit into a specific mold so badly. And then, but you don't, you can't. Then many struggle with language barriers. You start to feel insecure, once again, with your accent. And then, therefore, you also struggle with social integration, self-acceptance, and you might be facing discrimination. And, well, here's the thing, and that's very interesting. Research has actually shown that there is a growing evidence that foreign accents are discriminated against. Did you know that?
No. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I've learned about the we have a different psychology,
Yeah.
and we have to take care of that psychology. So we'll dive into it in a little bit.
So the fact is that people make judgments about people as with foreign accents in jobs, in criminal cases, in court cases, because they think you are less intelligent, less successful, and less trustworthy. But now it comes. It's not even their fault. Because once again, research has shown that listening to someone with a foreign accent makes the human brain work harder, which then leads to unintentional discrimination. So basically, people don't even realize that they are discriminated against.
Wow.
Yeah.
Things we have to be aware of.
Yeah. So how did I overcome those challenges? You know, me with my accent and my boss telling me, you know, you foreigners always want something. Well, first, you know, these are all stories we have in our head. It's not the truth. You know, we are making up those stories in our head. And then we all have triggers. And you know, I looked so deep and I analyzed my triggers, and it's very interesting because when someone says to me, when I'm in a conversation and someone says to me, what's that? You know, after I say something and they don't fully understand what I'm saying and they say, what's that? That I'm first thing, my first reaction was always like, oh shit, sorry, oh shoot, it's my accent, they don't understand me. And this is where my brain used to go, you know? And then I had to really retrain my brain. And of course, sometimes it still hits me when someone says, what's that? This morning I walked my dog and this lady started to talk to me about my dog and her dog, and then I said something and she said, what's that? And I'm like, oh my god. And then I switch. I'm like, no, you know what, no, she didn't hear me, it's okay, let's move on, it's okay, let's take a deep breath, stand up tall and smile and just answer the question again, you know? And that really helps. Standing up straight, stand up tall, because this shows confidence, you know? Put your shoulders back and
So any beautiful, you know, people that's watching our show today that are in that uh, part of their lives where they are bicultural, begin to think, what story are you telling yourself? Because I was in that situation, and sometimes I am in that situation, and I have to shift that thought, that psychology, that at the moment it's going against, you know, like my identity, you know, thinking that, oh, I'm not that smart, oh, maybe, you know, it's like I'm not easy to, you know, articulate, to communicate. And
yeah.
we have to work on that, you know, part of our psychology as being from a different country, having the accent, speaking, you know, a new language, where we have to, you know, it's like I'm capable, you know, be thinking and knowing that we are capable. You know, it might take us a little, you know, might have to repeat ourselves a little bit more often than a traditional individual that has lived here all their life. But you know, it's okay. You know, it's like, it's learning to accept, Christina, I believe, is like
Yeah.
learning to accept that, yes, I have an accent. Yes, you know, I was born in a different culture and it's part of who I am. Because sometimes in order for us to fit in, we try to fade some of our background, you know. And now that I know what
Absolutely.
I know, it's like, no.
No, it's you said it right, uh, and it's truly the stories we create, and you can either create a beautiful story about your accent and where you come from, or you're gonna go go there and say, oh my god, poor me, they didn't understand me, and give up, right? This happens very often. People then give up, and I'm like, no, you can't, because you're special, you're unique, you know, just it's okay.
Yes.
And we have so much to give, and we're, you know, I'm sure, you know, you're gonna ask, we're gonna go there too. What else, you know, we have as being bicultural?
Yes. Yeah. So, you know, right now, ask yourself, you know, what story am I telling myself about my accent? What story am I telling myself about
Yeah.
living in a different country that is not serving you? Sometimes the story that gather up in our head do not serve us. So let's begin to create conscious, just to be aware what's in my head all of most of the time. And the reason why, Christina, is because I get to witness, I get to see, especially women that don't want to apply for a higher job because they don't want to expose themselves to have to speak more English because they think that English is not good enough. And in my mind, it's like that's the only way. I try to explain to them as well, but it's the only way that is going to get better is by exposing yourself to the environment. I remember being at a job and I was afraid to answer the phone because
Yeah,
it was a big challenge to articulate, to communicate correctly. It was a challenge,
it
but
is. And you're right. I with women and what I noticed too and found, people start to hang out with people who speak the same language as them, right? And then they don't, because they don't want to expose them, and then they are stuck, and what we really try to do is to help them unstuck and unleash the powerhouse in them, because everyone can be a leader. you
yeah,
know you're born to be a leader, you're born as a leader. And yeah,
yeah,
sometimes just frustrating because you want to shake people
yeah.
and wake them
Yes.
up and say, you can do it because look, I did it too.
Yes, yes, we overcame fear, fear of
Mhm.
failing, fear of rejection, those
Number one
monsters.
fear. The number one fear is fear of rejection.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
So, in what ways do you believe bicultural adds value to your personal and your profession?
Look, by being bicultural, you're so unique, and we talked about it just now. And you have such a global mindset, and you see yourself, others, and the world around you through a different lens.
Yes.
You definitely have a broader lens and a multicultural lens, which others don't. This is huge, and it adds to your life and to anyone's life. And having intense exposure to different cultures has taught me to lead and understand better, understand others better, and they understand me better. And no one can take this away from me. And I truly believe you have more creativity and more creative way of thinking and problem solving when you are bicultural, because your brain is wired differently. So there are so many pluses. You just need to go out there and do it. Take that step, take action.
I love it. Well, now that you say we have a global mindset, one of my biggest that I can share with you right now and all of you is gratitude. It's like, wow, it's like, to me, it's gratitude. Sometimes I hear people complaining, about the government, the president, whoever is on the chair. And in
Whatever
my
they
mind,
find.
yes, and in my mind is like, wow, it's like I get to be grateful that I can compare in a positive way
Mhm.
where I came from, where I'm at, and I'm able, what I mean, it's like I'm grateful to see the difference.
Yeah.
Another way is like I observe high school students. I was like, I had to pay for copies, Christina. The teacher would say, okay, lecture, 5, 6, and 7 are already ready in the shop across the street. You're gonna need them by tomorrow. And we would go and pay and stay on the line and pay for the copies, and then bring them to class, and then we would pay attention and do our math, our algebra. Here, they're blessed, and I feel very honored and very grateful that I get to make the copies for each student. And I give them, you know what I mean? I'm like, oh wow, it's like, thank you. It's like, I'm very grateful because I know what it's like not to have it on hand, having to stand in line, pay for it. Maybe the copy machine broke. Well, I'll have to go to the other the other
Yeah.
store. So it's like giving it to them on hand. And I'm like, wow. And then seeing them, the bus just dropping them off. And I used to have public transportation where my dad would not take me to school. I would have to ride the bus, pay. The bus would take me not to the school, near the school, and then I would have to walk. And same thing, at the bell rang, time to go home, I would have to walk, catch the bus, pay, and then it would take me not to my house, but near my house, and then I would walk.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
see this students, and I'm like, to me, it's like, oh wow, they're so blessed, and I'm grateful to witness that there are better ways.
But that's so wonderful that you're grateful, right? And I think, or I know, we so need to teach people to be grateful, wake up with a grateful mind, wake up first thing in the morning. And thank you for bringing up being grateful, because before I went on the show, I was thinking about being grateful, and I'm grateful for my husband. I'm grateful for my dog. I'm grateful for the sun is shining.
Your
I'm
needs,
grateful.
you're talking about
Yeah,
your needs.
yeah. I'm grateful that I even woke up,
Yeah.
because we take that for granted too, that we were able to open our eyes. And what I really love, what you said is, I get to do these things,
Yes. Yes.
don't say I have to get up. And hey, I'm not perfect. I'm very often in the morning, I'm Miss Grumpy. I'm not, I don't I'm not the best morning person, but I get up and I get to do my work. And if you say I get to instead I have to, it makes a huge difference. So I
Yes.
really loved when you said, I get to make these copies,
Yes. Yeah. And yeah, we get to, we get to learn from two cultures. And that's one thing I tell my kids. Like, you have the opportunity. Take the best. It's like I was like, I'm not gonna tell you what to take as an observe. Take the best from mom, take the best from dad. Two different cultures that you're being exposed, and make the best
That's
out of it.
wonderful. That's wonderful. That's so wonderful. And so important too. It's a gift.
Yes. Yes, it is a gift, and it makes us stronger.
Oh,
Like anybody
absolutely.
that is in the victimhood of, they don't pay me enough, that they might be in the victimhood saying, is like, I don't speak the perfect language. They might be, victimhood thinking, and the story that they're telling them is the wrong story. And we're here to invite you today to begin to see the goodness of being bicultural.
Yes.
The
Oh,
good,
absolutely.
yeah. What have you learned from being bicultural? Are you stronger? I bet you are.
Oh, hell, you are. You are, and nothing compares to you, It's just, I spoke today to a lady, and whatever I said, and she's also bicultural, she always answered with yes, but, always yes, but. I agree
Yeah.
with you, but,
And then she erased everything.
I am with me. This is with me. It's different. Yes, but I'm like, yes, but we have to get rid of this yes, but, and see the good, how special you are. And I told her, I said, I forgot to text you because I wanted to actually let you know what you do. You're so you're so unique. It's not just, you just got here and this is what you do. No, you're needed. People need you, and you're so unique and extraordinary. So yeah.
Can you share any, examples of how we can bridge that gap between those two cultures in our lives? Like, how can we handle potential conflict or tension that may arise?
Mhm. Sure. So I believe by being bicultural, you are the bridge between two worlds, and you bridge the gap with patience, very important, patience, empathy,
And
and for sure, effort and understanding. And we mentioned it before, and I agree with you, Paula. It is so important to speak both languages fluently. Educate yourself and learn both cultures. Learn about both cultures.
yeah,
This can also mean to participate in cultural events and celebrate both cultures' holidays and embrace both cultures' foods. These are little things, create fusion dishes, and don't just say, oh, my culture is the best culture and I push everything else away. No, this is not how it works, and I'm a firm believer that tension or conflict can be resolved by open communication and understand the other one's perspective. Very often it's my perspective and yours doesn't exist. Same thing with opinion. No, just understand, be understanding, but also don't be shy and think that your perspective doesn't mean anything. No, it means something as well. So these are my 2 cents.
yeah. You know,
That.
you brought me back to it, and this question was asked to me just a few weeks ago. Like, when you moved here,
Mhm.
how was it?
Mhm.
And now that I know about brain health, I was like, well, I remember myself comparing. I would compare my own
Yes.
culture to this new
Mhm.
culture, and
Mhm.
everything was wrong because mine was better.
Mhm.
And all it was my brain surviving.
Oh yeah.
That's all it is like our brain survives. I mean, it's trying to survive, so it's going to compare and try to keep us
Mhm.
safe.
You're
So
right.
in that stage of my life, if anybody's new to this new life of being bicultural, at first most likely your brain might compare, beginning like things that you did at home, things that you have at home compared to what you have now, and you feel like your country has higher scores, of course, because your brain's trying to keep you safe. And here's what you're inviting us: seek to understand, it's like learn a little bit more
Mhm.
of the culture, try to
Mhm.
celebrate Independence Day, whatever holiday you think that, oh, I could begin.
Oh yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, I could begin, to open yourself up to the opportunity to learn the
Mhm.
new culture, understand it.
Yeah.
Because, like you mentioned a while ago, we have a global mindset. We have different lenses, brighter lenses. We get
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
have the experience from our culture and learn, the beauty of the new culture
Mhm.
that is your new environment. So yeah, thank you for that, because at first I remember that is like comparing. Oh, mine's better. Oh, mine's better. It's not about comparing, but I was just, maybe I was just surviving. And after I had
Oh yeah.
kids, you know, then it's like I think I began to adjust even more because it was safer for my kids. I began to see the benefit of my kids, not mine anymore.
Yeah, since you mentioned comparison, it's the same thing or very similar to judgment, you know? You immediately either judge and compare. That's the first thing what you go and what you do. And um I know a lot of people actually, when they come here, they just compare, and nothing is good enough for them here. And I'm like, why are you here then? Why are you here? So see the good first. And once again, this is really, you have to retrain your brain. And different cultures, they're more negative than other cultures, right? And I definitely don't come from the most positive culture. We are very, this way and my way, and this is it, right? Very stubborn. But it is important to see also the opportunity in things.
The
Because when you don't judge, when you don't compare, or when you let go a little bit, all of a sudden opportunities open up too.
Yeah, you're right. Definitely. Do you have a strategy, a technique that you might share, an approach that you might share with our audience today that might be struggling, like you said, might be too stubborn to begin to see the goodness of the new country where they're at?
I would say just let go, and try to let go, and just start to write down the good things you see. Write down, sit down and write down the good things you see, and do this daily, and at the same time, be grateful. Write down what you're grateful for, and these two things combined can make a huge difference.
Definitely. Yes. Begin to see, what is beyond that black dot that we're looking at, that it might not be might not be the right weather, the right people. They might not have the food, your favorite food in the grocery store. So that's my all you're thinking about. So yeah.
Mentioning the food, it very often starts with the food, and you see how actually food makes you comfortable and gives you comfort. Because I very often hear, oh, the food is here so bad, and this and that. It's interesting, it starts with the food. you know they get off the plane and complain about the food. And funny that you mentioned the food. you know
Yes, yeah, because you
it's
see.
okay, experience other things. There are things you can experience, and it's all about experience, because experience make you grow and glow.
Yeah,
you know if you
definitely.
just sit in this little tiny box and don't look outside the box, what do you think what happens? You have zero experience and you don't grow.
Uh,
And then you die, and then you didn't. And before you die, you regret. You have all these regrets because you wanted to experience things so badly. So you gotta take action. Now we're
yeah.
there. We go from here to taking action, but it's true.
Yeah.
And if it's just baby steps.
Yeah. I mean, we are habitual beings. So what are the new habits that we need to adopt, to
Mhm.
adjust to this new culture? If that's really, like in my case, uh, I got married. So there is no way I was going back. In our case, it was no way I was going back. Uh,
Mhm.
so, what are the new habits that we can adopt to adapt, to make this even better? And we'll get, I mean, our brains are beautiful. It's a beautiful muscle that if we teach it to do something, it'll do it. So it takes that
Oh, absolutely.
habit.
Absolutely. And I always say it's the best computer. I mean, there is no better software than our brain, and you
Yeah.
can train it. The beautiful part is, as you said, you can retrain it, reboot it, whatever you'd like.
Yes. Yes. So adapting, it's, that's what we do best. And we can always go back and think of a job we thought we weren't capable of doing. And within a few weeks, we were
Mhm.
already mastering the skills. So,
Absolutely. It's
yes.
like riding a bike.
Yes. Can you describe where a bicultural experience can provide a unique insight or alternative solutions to challenge, the challenges that are facing by individuals from a monocultural background?
Sure. So by being bicultural, you are definitely more adaptable and flexible.
Okay.
And I would say we are able to find more creative solutions where a one size fits all approach usually doesn't work. Or because also we speak more than one language. I, for instance, speak, for instance, 3 languages. Let's say,
Let's say.
let's say 2.5. German, Austrian, German, English, and then I also speak Italian. But my Italian is right now rusty, so I would say 2.5.
That's awesome.
But when I worked in international logistics, no one could compete with me who spoke only one language. So once again, going back to languages, it's really important. And I really, really beg everyone who has children and there are more than one language spoken in the household to please raise your children bilingual. Very often I hear, the mom is Hispanic, the dad is American, or vice versa, or I'm just throwing out Hispanic. It's in
You're good. I'm
with
here.
any culture, but where it's more comfortable for them to speak only one language, but it's a gift to teach your child both languages, or 3 languages, because if the mom is from a different country, the dad, and they live in the US, the child would speak 3 languages, and very often they get comfortable and they only teach one language.
Yeah, that's
And
our case.
sometimes, oh, sorry, I did not know.
Hey, that's good. It's good. Hey, we're being honest. We're being honest. And yeah, it is. I mean, they speak way, perfect English. They speak a little bit of Spanish, but yeah,
But they speak a little bit of
they do. They're
Spanish.
working on it. Yeah, mom and dad will be here this week for a few months, so we're gonna get onto the Spanish. But yes, you are right, and I am an example of that. So I am an example of that. That it's comfortable. uh it could be the schedule, it could, it's like I can come up with many excuses which they're not okay. So I'm with you, is like, make the effort, because we know that, and sometimes, one word can have a different meaning, and I said, well, in Spanish this is what it means. So yeah, I mean, it's like there's many benefits of speaking 2 languages. So yes. uh yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
at least, as you said, your parents are coming over and they know enough that they can communicate with your parents,
Yes, but for
and
anyone else out there that is in my situation, it's much better if our kids would be fluent, because there's better benefits. There's just, it's like, yeah, make the extra effort. So
no, yeah,
yeah,
it's hard though. Especially if you have a spouse who doesn't speak the language,
yeah, yeah.
then it's
Yeah,
different.
and it's doable. Like, now that you mentioned that universities offer courses to
Mm-hmm.
speak another
They
language.
do.
So, and
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
some of them are free, is based on a computer. But okay, let's go back. Let's dive into what has been your hardest challenge as being bicultural.
Um, mm, sometimes being far from home, especially, you know, when parents are getting older, and when my dad passed away. You know, I try to go back to Europe once a year, sometimes twice a year, but when he passed away, you know, you're carrying this guilt. Why wasn't I there? You know, even though I was there a couple of weeks before he passed. But you know, it's your choice, and you still need to move forward, and you still need to do what you want to do, you know. And it sounds harsh, but it's your life. And what really helped me is, you know, I just wrote down the good memories of my dad, and which I had, and they will always stay with me.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. Thank you for sharing, because I know it's probably a very painful memory. And for anyone that is bicultural that might be struggling, it is as well, has been my hardest being away. I thought being away from, like, during holidays was the hardest. No, it's like someone that you love
Mhm.
passed away, and not being able to be there to tell them goodbye, to give them the last hug.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like the hardest. And for anyone that has dealt with that or is dealing with that, we get you. We've been
yeah,
there. We've been
yeah.
there. And I just want to invite our audience, like in my experience, Christina, I grew spiritually. I
Oh yeah.
through that, I was like, okay, how can I love more? How can I, like, from here, send them my love, pray harder.
Mm-hmm,
Is like,
mm-hmm,
it's a
mm-hmm.
learning experience for anyone that is going through that situation. Take it. We invite you to take it as a learning experience versus the guilt that you're talking about, because I also experienced that guilt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
I agree with you
I
100%.
would love to stay here longer. I know we ran out of time.
Mm.
Where can we find you? Anybody in our beautiful audience right now that wants to learn more about you, that wants to learn about Xtina in your corner, where can they find you?
Okay, you can follow me at Xtina. So it's Xtina in your corner, on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, or www.xtinainyourcorner.com. And or send me an email at coachwithxtina@gmail.com. And I'd like to say a few words before we close to
Yes.
all my bicultural people and friends out there. You know, celebrate your uniqueness. Please truly celebrate, because when you celebrate, it releases happy hormones, and you are really all badasses. Doesn't matter where you're from, you are badasses. You're extraordinary because you speak at least 2 languages, which a lot of people don't.
And they have a
And
global
remember,
mindset.
yes, and you remember, you see the world with a broader and global lens. So stand up straight, put a smile on your face, and because putting a smile on your face and stand up straight, it boosts your confidence and it shows confidence. These were my 2 cents for you.
Thank you so much for being here with us, Christina. I appreciate your
Oh,
time,
my
your
pleasure. Oh,
experience.
thank you.
Thank you, all,
Thank
everyone who
you.
had the opportunity to join us today. This show can also be heard on Spanglish Radio Network. Please check out SpanglishWorld.ca for all news and programming. Spanglish World, watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. Blessings, and we'll see you soon.